Pornography websites in the United Kingdom will be legally required to verify the age of all users as per new government legislation. It's all part of the online safety bill, and all websites will be required to put robust checks in place to ensure that users are 18 or over. These checks could involve handing over credit card information to a pornography website or age information to be corroborated by a mobile provider or government database. However, many users, including the young people that the law is aimed to protect, are likely to still be able to bypass these restrictions via easy-to-access tools such as virtual private networks or VPNs. So it's not clear whether these measures will actually work or protect younger people. But it raises a wider philosophical question about whether we should try at all to tackle pornography and its public consumption. Is pornography harmless entertainment or a profound social ill? The ultimate question which we're going to seek an answer to tonight is as follows. Is pornography morally wrong? To debate this, I'm delighted to welcome a porn star in her own right, a very talented adult movie actress, Brooklyn Blue, and consultant lawyer to the Christian Legal Centre, Michael Phillips, who has concerns about the industry. Wonderful to have both of you on the show. Brooklyn, if I could start with you, do you think that pornography is morally wrong?
Of course not. I mean, morals are morals. And everyone who works in the industry, they still have their morals to be a good person. And it's like saying anything. I mean, like I've always said, porn is fantasy. It's not real, and it is completely made up. We're actors. We go on set and we have scripts, and it's acting. I mean, to say porn is morally wrong, I mean, that's like saying, well, a horror movie is morally wrong because they technically show things that are wrong, but it's acting. It's not real. You know, it's fake. So I don't think it is morally wrong. I think it's all about knowing it's not real and an education side of it.
Should there be, Brooklyn Blue, any limits to the kind of pornography we can access?
I mean, there are limits in the UK. There is porn that's illegal. There is porn that is not illegal. There's certain things in our industry that we're not allowed to do, certain positions, certain other things we're not allowed to do because it is illegal. So there are restrictions on it. It's more the amateur side where that kind of thing gets out. In our industry, the professional side, we do actually have restrictions on things. There are a lot of laws we have to abide by in order to be able to make our films legal.
Would you like to see any further restrictions on the way that we access pornography, Brooklyn? Do you think there could be other safety measures like the one I've just mentioned in the online safety bill, getting users to prove their age?
I mean, this has been spoken about for years in the industry. It's always been known that this age verification was going to come in at some point. It was just a matter of time of when it happened. And I've always said it should be there. It should be there to protect us. It should be there to protect the vulnerable people who it is protecting. And we have nothing against that. In any website, but it's got to be the free websites and the paid websites. It's got to be everything. And I totally agree that there should be age verification. We all do in the industry to keep it safe. But it also, there does need to be an education side to it. People need to understand what they're seeing. It isn't real. I mean, we go into it's a job to us. We go into work, we do our scenes. But most of us are married women in real life, you know, and we have our moral real life. It's our work life and our real life.
I mean, when you say it's not real, any pornography that I've seen entirely by accident, because I've been looking for Marks and Spencer's or Tesco, it looks pretty real from where I'm standing.
I mean, we're very good actors. We win awards. So, I mean, if you know, the amateur side, I can't comment on that. I'm not on the amateur side, but the stuff I perform in, we are very good at what we do. That's why we do what we do, and that's why we get paid what we do for it, and why we win awards from it. We are actors at the end of the day. Our job is to make it look amazing and to make this whole thing look real so that people enjoy it. It's like a Hollywood film, you know. They make it look very real, but it's not real. You've got to understand that, and that's what it is.
In case you're wondering, I eventually found Marks and Spencer's and I did buy those socks. Michael Phillips, is pornography morally wrong?
I'm afraid to say it is. As a Christian, what we believe is that sexual intercourse is something which is wonderful, something which is created by God. We're made in God's image, and it is something to be enjoyed. However, sexual intercourse is something to be enjoyed within the context of a marriage between a man and a woman and in a committed lifelong relationship. And that's what we've believed as a country for 2,000 years. Now, over the last 100 years or so, since the 1960s, we've obviously seen a great increase in pornography, and we've seen the laws which have been liberalized over that period of time, and there have been benefits, but there have been downsides. And one of them is the exponential increase in pornography. And also what I've done over many, many years is represent many people, men and women, who have found themselves in court because they've found themselves addicted to pornography and ended up viewing images, which I'm not suggesting this lady has been involved in, but there are forms of illegal pornography. They never started out watching the hardcore stuff, the extreme pornography, the child pornography, but they started in that place. And what we've seen over the last 10 years is a massive increase in pornography addiction, in prosecutions for sex crimes, in child addiction problems and prosecutions. And the thing is this, it starts soft. It starts with this kind of what's called soft pornography, and then unfortunately it lends up into that kind of place. And so pornography, even from not just from a Christian point of view, but from a societal point of view, it is not a good thing.
Brooklyn Blue, what's your reaction to that? Michael argues that these movies, the kind of stuff people are accessing at first is, the secretary in a short skirt taking notes with her glasses at the tip of her nose, or that sauna that keeps breaking down. But it goes to a darker place over time, and that's the problem.
I mean, to say that about everyone is completely absurd in my mind. I mean, somebody that enjoys a type of porn scenario is not going to then branch onto all this illegal stuff. If you're going to watch the illegal stuff, you're going to watch that regardless, and you're going to find it regardless. There is all awful things in the world, and you will find that regardless. Somebody that's watching general, normal, legal porn, that type of person's never going to branch into these type of awful things, because that's not who that person is. I mean, to say that watching, soft sort of things that can turn into this crazy level is crazy, in my opinion. And also, I mean, people can get addicted to everything. It's like saying, if you took drugs one time, you could be completely addicted to it, or you may not be. I mean, to put everyone in the same category is crazy. And I think, there's addiction in everything. There's addiction to alcohol, there's addiction to gambling, there's addiction to drugs, there's addiction to countless things in the world. And obviously porn would be one of them, as much as people get addicted to shopping. Shopping is not illegal, but you can get addicted to it still.
Michael, perhaps we can find some common ground. We can all agree that illegal pornography is deeply wrong, and very often what you'll see is a crime being played out on your computer screen in which there are victims. That's absolutely horrific, and I don't think for a second that Brooklyn Blue or her colleagues would support that. But her argument is it's all quite self-regulating. The law is there, and more or less it does a job.
Well, she should come along and meet some of the people that I end up representing. They are the most normal people in the world who have found themselves going this direction. And put it this way, I was in front of a judge not that long ago, and she said, listen, these days, when I pull out my book on Sentencing Council guidelines on sexual offences, it always falls open on one page. And that page is in relation to illegal images concerning children, child pornography, because it is becoming such an epidemic in this country. And when I started this job 10, 15 years ago, I didn't represent anybody up for this kind of stuff. But now we are seeing this tsunami on prosecutions. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Those are just the people that they actually catch. These are normal people who unfortunately get drawn into this lie. Pornography ultimately is a lie. It's suggesting that something is wonderful and fantastic, and it's being used outside the context in which I believe that God created it. And irrespective of what your beliefs are, there are scientific studies out there which say unequivocally porn, even in moderate amounts, affects relationships. It affects your brain, your cognitive function. And that's what the science says as well. Porn, even in moderate amounts, even social consumption, putting it that way, is a bad thing. Pornography, even in small amounts, is a bad thing.
Well, Michael, again, we can agree. I mean, child pornography, that's the definition of pure evil. But to conflate someone, popping one out over some sort of saucy movie on the internet to child abuse, that's a leap, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest. You are a Christian yourself, for which I have the greatest respect. Pornography probably predates the Bible.
Well, in fact, what I'd say is this, is that is where it all started off. Adam and Eve were in the garden and they were naked. But when they sinned and fell away from God, that's when God gave them a covering. And that there is that symbol of our separation from God. And God has placed that because, unfortunately, we are fallen individuals. And so, there's prostitution, even in the Old Testament. That's really what it is. It's a form of prostitution. It's a form of exploiting individuals. And people can say that they feel empowered. People can say that they enjoy it and so on. But ultimately, there are many people who've come out of the porn industry and become Christians. And they've said, listen, this was an industry of absolute, exploitation, and when we became a Christian, we saw that, in fact, that our lives have been made so much better now that we are in a monogamous relationship, and sex is something which is preserved between a man and a woman, because that's the way it's meant to be. It's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be a wonderful thing, but in that context. And that's what I would say is the reason why it's not a good thing.
Briefly, Michael, what about lonely men and women for whom pornography is an outlet? And also, what about the very Christian idea, that perhaps accessing legal adult entertainment is a way for a man or a woman to continue to be faithful to his partner or her partner and not have an affair?
I think it's just an absolute lie. I mean, the people that I've spoken to, and I've spoken to thousands of people over the years who I've represented in my line of work, have told me that it always goes in the wrong direction. It starts off in that way. And there was a similar argument in relation to child pornography. When it first became prevalent, in fact, we saw the offences against children decrease for a short period of time. But then it went on the increase. Unfortunately, pornography, what it does is that it is a lie which titillates something within us, and then as a result of that, it sends us down a pathway which, in the end, very often leads to very, very dark places. And this is ordinary people, normal people, never been in trouble in their lives, end up in this situation. And unfortunately, that's what pornography does.
Well, clearly, that I'm not going to challenge the veracity of your claims. I take your word for it, Michael, that this has happened, and if that happens, it's abhorrent. But it's a bit like saying that someone that goes down to their local Wetherspoons for a pint is going to be shooting up by the end of the evening.